Well, hello there, and we're glad you're on our live stream today. Well, today we have a very interesting chap, 40-odd years in the JDubs, and what's his life like now? Has he been able to learn anything? Could we learn something from our guest, Stewart? Well, let's bring Stewart on, and we'll find out a little bit more about Stewart and what he's been up to of late. Good evening, Stewart.
Hi, how are you?
Good, mate. You had a good day?
Very good day. Enjoying
that's good.
At last.
What do you mean by at last?
It's a bit changeable, you know. It's been,
okay.
Yeah, not the best of summers, but I'm not going to complain. I'm near the coast, so it's fine, you know.
Whereabouts in the good old UK are you?
So I'm in the southwest,
Southwest?
in Devon, and we're right on the Salcombe, Kingsbridge estuary area, so it's great.
Nice. Did you go fishing?
I keep meaning to get back into it. It's one of those things that just forget, you know.
Yeah.
It's on my list of to-do things. You know?
Oh no, that's cool. Alrighty. Well, let's find a little bit out about yourself. How did you get stuck in the JDubs for those 40-odd years?
So I was born in.
Yep.
My father is an elder and has been an elder, and he continues to be an elder forever.
Yep.
I had a brother, and my mum was a regular pioneer, and so we were this model perfect little JDub family in the late 70s, early 80s. And like everyone else that's been the JW, you know, you had no Christmas, no birthdays, and you're growing up to think that everyone's wrong for doing that. And we're obviously not. Things, I know my mum's side, my nan was a witness. She used to be a Catholic, and she became a witness.
Okay.
For that. And on my dad's side, my other nan and granddad were very, very passionate witnesses as well. And then it got to about late 80s, and my mum had an affair.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And so that was like a massive scandal, because this perfect little JW family was no longer perfect. And so I was about 12 years old, I reckon, at that time. And so my dad won custody of me and my brother. And so we basically spent the rest of our life, the rest of our young childhood in a very strict witness upbringing with my dad. He didn't want me to deviate off because mum was the baddie now, right? So yeah. And then I got to about 18, and the elders were saying to me that now you're baptized. I can't remember when I got baptized, to be honest with you. I think I must have been about 15, because it's the right thing to do, right?
Yep.
Just expected. So no questions asked, just jumped in the pool. And so when I got to about 18, the elders said to me, they said, Stu, now that you're an adult legally, and your mum's disfellowshipped or disassociated, same thing, whatever. Because your mum's disfellowshipped, if you continue to see your mum, then you'll start to lose privileges, and you could be disfellowshipped. So I had this window of between 12 and 18 years old where I built a relationship with my mum, and now all of a sudden I've got to cut it off. And that was really hard, and I did it. And for a couple of years I did it. and it was one of the hardest things I ever had to do.
Mm-hmm.
And my mum didn't understand, it was before the internet. So she didn't understand how to research the organization. She didn't understand why it was so bad that we couldn't see her. And so I know she went into a big bit of depression after that. And for me, it never made sense. I guess I've always been waking up because I never always asked the questions. I never get the answers I wanted. And so I guess I've always waking up. And so I stopped shunning my mum, and I rebuilt a relationship with her again. And it was great, but it was hard because I was married at this time as well. I married quite young, as a lot of us did.
Yep.
Had kids. So now we've got this conflicting argument where I want to see my mum, but I meant to see my mum because we're married, and it was madness. It's head. But fast forward a bit, and my marriage broke up after an illness that she had. That was one of those things that was either going to make you or break you, and it broke us. And I went into, I think, a big depression stage. Because the moment that we broke up our marriage, all of my friends just disappeared overnight. Gone. And I didn't know what was going on. I was like, hang on, I'm meant to be in this loving organization where people rally around for everyone, and just all disappeared overnight. And it's a very strange thing for me to have to deal with. And that then raises more questions in my head about, but I still believed it. Right? And then I became a pommy. Right? I became the worst of the worst. I became a pommy, physically out, mentally in, not going to meetings, not going on a ministry, but still believing it and even telling people about it. Right? One of those guys, because that's all I knew.
That's right.
That's all I knew. And it was only when I moved down to the West Country, and I met my now partner Lara, and it was interesting because I think it was a year I was disfellowshipped for, because I got disfellowshipped for having a girlfriend and that, and I was meant to go back to the meetings the week me and Lara sort of met. So I had this little kind of, what do I do? Like, do I go back and get reinstated, or do I stay and make a relationship with Lara? So I chose that one, which was really good. And we've got this big projector screen in our front room, and the sound was down one day, and I just caught it at the corner of my eye. It was Sky News, and it had $45 million lawsuit against Jehovah's Witnesses in Montana. And I was like, whew, that's a lot of money. And that was the first time I started to allow myself permission to unpick stuff. And that was where I went to, really.
So for nearly the whole of your life, before that time, you didn't really have too many negative thoughts about the JDubs? No.
I didn't have a clue. It was that arrogant kind of thing from my point of view, where if someone was disfellowshipped, or if someone was an apostate, it was like you're terrified of them. It's like, what have they done? Why have they done that for? It's a real, you're sitting in the hall and there's the guy sitting at the back who's been disfellowshipped, and you wonder, but you think that's his problem. It's not. And it's for me, I feel quite shameful for that, because that's not who I am as a person. But you're trained, aren't you, to think that way, that us versus them kind of thing, But I think
I can hear some seagulls in the background.
Yes, seagulls are. You can't listen to the and moan about the seagulls, even though they wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
That's nice of them.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So when you got baptized, did you ever get any privileges in the congregation?
Yeah, I was. I say privileges. It's a silly.
Yeah, I know it's a wacky word, but that's what they call it.
Yeah, microphones. I tried to pioneer, but I was never very good at it, so I never did it. I was very rubbish at going on the minute. I wasn't a very good witness. This is the other thing. I was never very good at it. I was never very good at being a witness. I didn't understand why I wasn't any good. Why was my brother so sort of brilliantly super PME doing everything that he should be? I was always getting into trouble. I was getting reproved every other meeting. You know, it's just, yeah, I was just never very good at it. Now I look back and I go, maybe because I didn't actually believe it. Maybe I didn't actually get it. Right?
Maybe.
40 odd years.
So 40 odd years. So that's in your past.
Yes.
When you watched that news report, the 45 mil,
yeah,
what was your next step? What was your mind doing at the time? You know, you're thinking about what the JDubs were, and all of a sudden this thing come up on the news, and you're looking at the screen, you're going, oh, what happened from around that time to getting you moving further and further away in your head?
So in my head, I had my father's voice.
Oh, okay.
Telling me, don't believe anything you read on or hear on the TV.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was like, well, this is quite a big thing to happen. This isn't a rumor. This is like a big deal. So I've done a bit of research in it. I kind of looked at, went on the YouTube videos, went down the rabbit hole. Yeah. And my brain was doing mental gymnastics, and it's something that Lara said to me once. And actually she studied because she wanted to. She wanted to understand where I was coming from. So she actually had a study as well. And she had questions that she would ask me. And I'm like, I can answer your questions, as opposed to, right?
Yep.
And the one thing she said to me was, so you're telling me that when Armageddon comes, everyone who's not a Jehovah's Witness is going to die? Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, that doesn't make sense, right? That's okay. So it was those sort of questions that was niggling in my head. And so with that, the whole Montana case, I went into a couple of Lloyd Evans's videos and went into those sorts of things and just wanted the hard facts. I was like, okay, so they actually are covering up child abuse. I was like, this is crazy. And they're not helping people. I'm like, but this is meant to be God's one organization. These, why aren't they doing it?
Yeah.
I thought, well, what else haven't they done? Right. So, so there was loads of stuff, and the teaching, the doctrine started falling away, and then the wheels fell off. In the first one was 607, 587, the Jerusalem thing. That was, I was like, yeah. So everyone's wrong apart from you guys. I was like, okay, this is. I've got to start unpicking this a bit. And the more I learned, the harder it was because I'm going. I've just wasted 40 years of my life. I could have been doing something completely different.
Yeah.
I could have had a different outcome. I could have had a better job. I could have had an importance on money. I could have had maybe better relationships. Because when you are controlled by that organization, they take those options away from you.
They do. And
then you look back and you go, oops, that was 40 years just gone. So when I say waste, I mean that from my point of view, and I think it frustrates me to the point where when I learn, especially as my brother and my father are still very much choices, I've got this kind of unearthly rage in my stomach. I'm like, I don't know what to do with it. It's really quite annoying because it's like I can't put it anywhere. I can't speak to my dad about it. I can't speak to my brother that I love very, very much that I'll never see again. I can't direct it anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's a very difficult thing, but it's a very important thing that when people do leave the witnesses, I feel you can just leave, but unless you unpick, unless you deprogram, it's going to be very hard moving on and
absolutely
putting things to rest,
So you moved down south to
Yeah.
Devon area on the coast. What's that been like? Has that been a bad move, or tell me some of the things that have happened since you moved down there?
So first of all, I'm a lot closer to my children. They live
nice.
not too far away. Because I used to travel from London to Devon, and sometimes there and back on the same day. So that's like an 8-hour round trip, just to see the kids on a weekend. So I'm back near my children. Also, I met Lara. We live in a
Tell us
beautiful
about
place.
Lara.
So yeah, I met Lara in a pub actually, where we of all places, and she's absolutely my soulmate. You know,
Nice.
we met. She's been an absolute rock for me,
Yep.
and been there for some very, very hard times, and I suppose a fly. Some very great times, and we have just the best time together. She has helped me unpack everything that I've had to deal with, and she's seen it firsthand because she studied as well. She's also gets it a little bit. She understands, you know, and yeah, we have a wonderful time. We go out on our boats a lot, and we go down the water. And my profession as a chef was brilliant because I ended up working in some nice places, and now I just do my own thing. So it's actually a brilliant place to be, and it's actually the best move I've ever done. And it's actually a choice I made. I could have stayed in London and got into some very bad habits, but I found better habits down here. Yeah.
Oh, good. Just as well.
Yeah.
Because you sound in a lot happier than when you were in the JDubs.
Oh, so much better. I don't think you realise how unhappy people are until you leave. And you know, of course, you're going to smile and you're going to tell jokes and you're going to whatever have a good time in the JDubs, but that's all you know, right? Until you step back and you have a look. I go, I wasn't happy. That's why then things didn't work out. You know, that's why my relationship didn't work. That's why whatever. You know, it's because there's so. I think also as a man growing up in the witnesses, you've got so much more added pressure. It's not just the fact of, you know, providing for your household. You've got meetings, you've got study, you've got to get the kids to the meetings. You've got there's so much stuff extra on top that you shouldn't have to do in a normal life. So when I look at my life now, it's so much more simple. It's so much more simple, and I appreciate every single day a lot more than I ever did while being a witness, because it's finite, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a lot more important to me. I think when I was witness, I was just taking things like, it doesn't matter, we're gonna live forever anyway.
Yeah.
Right? There's no importance added to it. So for me now, knowing that that's the case, has made me appreciate and squeeze every single thing out of every day, and that's so much more better than wondering what's happening. You know, it's just around the corner. The impending doom.
So you mentioned you had a couple of. Well, how many children you got?
I got 3.
You got 3 kiddies.
Yeah.
Can I just get you to think about it for a moment? Your relationship that you have now, I know they've obviously grown up a bit, versus the relationship you had when you were a JDub. What's the two like? Is there chalk and cheese? Is it?
You mean with my children?
Yeah, with your children.
Yeah. It is chalk and cheese because I mean I've got twins, so they were just they were just 14. My eldest daughter, she'll be 17 next month. Yep. So the relationship I have with them now is beautiful because we can just enjoy each other's company.
Yeah.
Celebrate birthdays, we can do Christmas, we can do all those sorts of things, and there's no judgment either. So they've got no fear of me ever shunning them, ever. Never. And I had that as a kid. But are
they associated with the JDubs still, or are they? Oh, great.
No. So yeah. So my ex-wife is out and they're out, which is a great thing. So yeah, and they get to express themselves and they get to do what they want unashamedly, and I'll love them forever for that. And you don't have to judge kids and haven't got to worry that that's ever going to be a thing for them.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful. And I think if I was still in and they were still in, there was always that possibility, if I took it seriously enough, that it could have been a very different relationship. But thankfully it's not.
No, I think you've got the best relationship now.
Yeah, absolutely. absolutely, and they can see that as well, and I can have frank conversations with them, and sometimes, and sometimes I joke, I'm like, I'm so sorry, guys, like, I didn't realize what I was doing all those years ago, but let's do it this time now, and they get it,
Yeah. What's the thing you like to do with them most?
Depends on what they do. They're so different in their own ways,
Let's rephrase the question. What brings you the most joy when you're spending time with the kids?
I think it's just them being free and watching them grow and develop and change, and their passions start to come through at a certain age, and there's certain things that they enjoy. They can see the injustices of things, which I find is quite good, because they get to have like an opinion, which you couldn't have probably had if they were still witness kids, because you don't get involved in that, It's just, but as activity wise, we go down the beach and we go on the boat and we go for walks and eat nice food and have a nice time,
Yeah, no, if they had an opinion, they might get into trouble for having that opinion.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Oh, no, that sounds nice.
Yeah.
And you say they're a lot closer to you now?
Yeah, they're only sort of, half an hour away. So.
Oh, that's a lot easier.
It's a lot easier. It's great.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, their other family, some of them are witnesses, some of them are not. So they get to see both sides of the coin as well, which is great. I didn't get to see that. I saw on my mum's side of the family, they were all, there were the smokers and the drinkers, and it was almost kind of, you don't want to be like that family. You want to stay over this side of the family where it's, the good stuff. But
that's great.
Yeah.
Did your kids? How long were they children in, as they grew up, before they were out?
So I'm going to say, obviously they were born into it up until about the age of 11, 12, something like that, I think. So they remember very, very much what it's like to be witness kids, Give me 2 seconds. This door. I have issues with dogs next door. It's
he just wants to be on screen with you.
That's right.
So, just out of interest, have you seen any side effects that you've been able to help your children with? Because as you grow up, you do remember what it's like.
Yeah.
But some children are more indoctrinated because, like yourself, you're meant to be this perfect JDub kid, and you're meant to be part of this perfect family. Have you noticed anything that you've been able to help them with?
I think their confidence levels. I think they weren't very confident as because they had a very hard time, because their mum had cancer at a very young age. So I took on that mantle for a while, and so they've always been quite a close little unit together as a three piece. And I've seen as they've grown that they get to express themselves more, and they haven't got the side effects, no remnants of the witnesses left in them, really. It's
great.
There's nothing there, but they're still polite and beautiful kids, right? So, and they're free thinkers, which is nice. They get to analyze stuff and ask questions honestly, and they can make their own mind up about stuff.
That must make you very proud as a dad to see that happening.
Yeah, it is. It fills me with hope for their future.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's. I often wondered that. When you bring a baby into the world, and you give them a set of beliefs, and when they get to a certain age and they go, this doesn't make sense, then I don't know how you can do that as a parent. Go, well, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. Right? That doesn't make sense to me. I'm not that, because that's what my father's done to me with shunning me because I'm disfellowshipped. And it's almost because I don't believe in what he believes in, he's not interested in a relationship with me anymore. So it's like, well, that's really hard to deal with. And the kicker for me is they're told that it's my fault. Right? It's me.
Of course.
Splitting up the family, and that's that frustration again in my stomach. I'm like, that isn't the case.
Yeah, it's all very conditional, isn't it?
Oh, complete conditional. Yeah, absolutely. And I never thought I'd ever experience that myself.
No, we never did.
I mean, the first time actually, Shane, it started for me properly was when my mum passed away. So thankfully, I had a good relationship with her up until that point, but she died suddenly, and she lived miles and miles away.
Mm.
So I picked my brother up from the airport. He lived in Ireland, still does, and we went to see my mum. And I was disfellowshipped at the time, and so while literally she was on her deathbed, nurse comes in, and she went, asked about my brother, and she said, "There's someone to see you." And so he went off out. I thought maybe it's some long lost uncle or something. And he was gone for about 15, 20 minutes. And I thought I better go and check up on him. So I went into the hallway, and there was an elder that my dad had contacted to give comfort to my brother. Right. And I was there thinking, what about me? It was a real eye-opening moment. And then we went to have some food in the evening, and the phone rang, and it was my dad talking to my brother. And not once did he ask how I was. Not once did he even inquire, like, how's Stewart doing? Not once. I was like, wow. Like, you meant to be my dad. You meant to be my father, and you treat me like I don't exist.
Yeah.
And that was a real light bulb moment for me, because that's not my fault, right? I was indoctrinated as a kid. And I think anyone that is struggling with being shunned or having their life taken away from them, it's not your fault, right? It's not your fault that you were indoctrinated as a kid. That's just cruel, in my opinion. It is. And it's very hurtful and harmful. And it's not your fault. It's a mindset you've got to change. It's not it's not an advice thing, but when you talk about conditional love, that's exactly what it is.
It is.
And for an organisation which preaches love, and it's wrong.
It is.
It's flatly wrong.
Totally agree. Yep. So tell me, your kids are wonderful. Yep. They've got a life of their own, and they can think freely. Mm-hmm. They enjoying time with their dad. You're enjoying time with them. What about you and Lara?
Yeah.
You met in a pub.
Yes. Yeah. Met in the pub.
Tell us a little bit about, if you don't mind, of course, some of the things that you guys get up to.
So
I'm just going to try and bring a picture up of you and Lara in a fun time by the looks.
Yeah. Yeah. So we basically, we live right on the estuary. So we jump in our little rib, and we go down the estuary with our friends. And that's the other thing, by the way. I made some very honest, good friends while I've been here, which I never have. So it's my new family, if you like, Yeah. So we go down with our friends on their boat, and we all tie the boats up together, and we bob around on the water for a good few hours. And sometimes we'll beach it and go to the beach. But we do an awful lot of things together, me and Lara. We like to travel when we could travel, of course.
Yeah.
All those years ago, it feels like it. And we just have a thoroughly good time together. We just enjoy each other's company, and again for us, you see, because we've had different pasts, but somehow they work perfectly, and we just enjoy where we live, and we've got our little dog that we take over the beaches and stuff as well. So it's beautiful. It's beautiful life, and it's hopeful, because sometimes when I remember when I was kicked out of the witnesses, it was an incredibly lonely place. very, very lonely place. I remember having a room. I was paying silly money for it, just renting. And I was there for about 6 months, and I thought it would never end. And I had no friends overnight, like everyone else who's been disfellowshipped or whatever. Overnight, I lost the whole lot, all my friends, all my support network. Not a single person.
Yeah.
Most of my family by this point had died as well. They've been peeling off in swathes. It's like something like Game of Thrones. Everyone's just dying all of a sudden. I mean, and you know, it was one of those like, what's going to happen next? Like, it was so ridiculous. Like, what can go wrong? And everything was going wrong until you make that decision to just change something. You know, just change one thing. And you don't know what the outcome is going to be. And I changed something, and my outcome has been brilliant. It's been the best decision I've ever made. You know, you've got to have confidence in your decisions, I think. You know.
What helped you? Okay, you understand it now. If you were back then and you were to talk to yourself at the time that you got kicked out, what would you tell yourself? Looking at it from where you are right now.
Don't worry about it. You'll be all right. You'll be all right, because you're told, aren't you, that everything outside the witnesses is horrible and evil and nasty and bad.
Yeah.
And it really isn't. It really, really isn't.
Mm-hmm.
It's not perfect, right? Of course, it's got its problems, but it's not as bad as they make out. In fact, it's actually brilliant. And also, there was a book by Steven Pinker called Enlightenment Now. And it's not a spiritual book, but it's about how actually life is getting better. It's actually getting better. It's not getting worse, like the Watchtower will make you believe. Right? People are living longer. Medicine's better. It's a better society than it ever has been. You know. So all these things that they try to manipulate you with, don't worry about it. It's okay. You're not, nothing's going to happen to you. You know, it's just do a bit of research, just unpick a little bit, and then the wheels will start to fall off, and you'll feel freer. And that's what I would have told myself, because I was down in the dumps. But I, pull your socks up, and then you get on with it. You know.
Mm-hmm. So looking back, I think if I was to give you the ingredients of a banana, a bit of pork, some carrots, potato, what could you make with it?
Whatever you like. I mean, banana's a weird curveball, but yeah.
So you mentioned you were a chef?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you still do the cooking now?
Yeah. So
you do?
COVID packed that up for me, really.
Oh, okay.
All the restaurants closed, and I was getting to the stage where I didn't want to do it anymore. Really, I've done it for quite a few years. I just haven't got the energy for that intense kind of stuff. So I just do private parties and stuff now.
Oh, nice. So tell me, does Lara like your cooking?
Yeah, and she's vegetarian as well, so it's an extra. Wow. It's an extra challenge for me. Put it that way.
Well, you can't have life without challenges.
Exactly. But if she goes vegan, we're gonna have to have a conversation, I think. But she's all right.
I'll let you decide that one.
Love vegan.
Okay, yeah, I've had a vegan trumpet. That's an ice cream.
Yeah.
It didn't taste any different from a normal trumpet.
Oh, fair enough.
So can't be all bad.
No, it's all good. No, we love the vegans. Love the vegans.
Yeah. So what are some of the things you're looking forward to? Well, obviously, once COVID disappears and becomes a little bit more under control.
Yeah.
What are some of the things you'd like to do in the future?
I think, well, we're definitely looking at traveling again, maybe living abroad for a bit.
Yeah.
Just squeezing every single thing out of this thing we call life, because when you realize, right, you're not going to live forever, it all of a sudden becomes really short.
Yep.
And so everything we do, every single thing we plan, we're already planning for stuff, just going away for weekends or just going for long trips. And her boys are going off to university,
Nice.
So it's just going to be me and Lara rattling around in the house. So we better fill it up and do some stuff. So we're just making plans and yeah, it's just nice.
So you got a blended family.
Blended
How
family.
many kids? You got 3. How many has Lara got?
2.
2. 5 children.
Yeah, and that's always going to be a challenge. Of course, it is. It's hard, you know, but it's how you handle that. And she's brilliant with it, and they're all good kids as well. You know, they're all brilliant.
Good.
Yeah, it's nice, very nice.
Yep. Oh, that's great to hear. And how does Lara find you now versus? I suppose we should ask her, but anyway, you tell me. How does Lara, if she was to compare you then when you first met in the pub to where you are now?
Yeah.
What would she say about you?
I think she would think that I think a lot more.
Okay. Yep.
You know, I don't take things on face value anymore. I've changed an awful lot. We've been together 4 years. It'd be 4 years in October, actually.
Nice.
So the first couple of years, well, first year, I was still a pony, right? I was still preaching to her, hoping that she would become a witness. And you know, but I think she's helped me on that journey as well. But I think I'm a very different person to how I was. I think I'm a bit more. I think she would think I'm a bit more caring, maybe, because I just think it's that arrogance again. I think that I had as a witness, that I had it. You know, I know a lot of people have it and they can't help it. They don't know it's not their fault. But she's calmed me down to the point where I'm settled in my life and I'm happy. I'm actually happy. You know, it's not. My dad always said, you know, and actually I could. He actually said to me on a text message. He said, "Well, if you want to be happy and you don't want to have any pressure and be like everyone else, then be my guest." I'm like, "Yep, I'll do that. Thanks very much."
What a great invitation.
It's a really strange argument. You know, if you want to be happy, you know, don't you go and be happy now? Yeah. It's very weird. So, but now I'm actually genuinely, truly happy, you know, and I never thought I'd ever find that. I think she would agree with that, because even though I was happy, I wasn't this happy, you know.
Yeah.
And of course, I miss my family. I miss my brother and my dad, but you know, that's not going to change. You can't choose what you believe in.
Yep.
And so you have, you know, my family I have now are not my relatives. And sometimes it's not about relatives. It's about people that are there for you. And she's been there for me and my friends have been there for me. So it's, I'm very grateful. Very, very grateful.
Yeah, you don't look that happy there, do you?
Yeah. That's one of the many jaunts coming back from Salcombe there, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Is that the boat you like to cruise around on?
Yeah, that's our little rib. We zip around on that, and it's it can pull a wakeboard behind it, so it's got plenty of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not for me. I don't do wakeboarding. Water's too cold for me, so. But the boys like it, and the boys can take it out as well, and you know, it's just our little thing we like to do, you know.
Yeah. No, you look like you have a lot of fun on that little runabout.
Yeah, it's great. It's great fun. It's great fun.
So, what made you get into boating? Lara
did. I've always liked the water. Yeah, I've always liked the water. But Lara had this little rib knocking around, and you know, it's right on the waterfront, so easy to get on and off of, and it's just a great social thing to do as well. So our friends have got some as well, and we just all do it all together. It's just good fun. Yeah.
So tell me about Lara. What would you like to say in the way of thanks for the things she's done to help you?
I don't think there's been enough words yet invented, because what she has done for me has not only changed my life, it's changed my whole worldview of what living is about.
Yep.
And I'm eternally grateful to Lara, eternally grateful, and never take it for granted. Just never take it for granted.
Yeah.
You know, we love each other and we have a great relationship. And you know, I want to thank her from the bottom of my heart. You know, she's everything that I could have ever dreamed of and more. You know.
Yeah. Well, you two look really happy in that photograph.
Yeah, yeah. That was a family wedding on Lara's side, obviously.
Yeah.
That was a nice wedding we went to, and yeah, and everywhere we go, we just make the best of it, and we just kind of, you know, might have a wedding, but we might go off and do something else for a bit because that's what we like to do. Just travel around and have a nice time together.
Make the best of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
Are you allowed to do that?
I think you are these days. Yeah, I think you can. Yeah. Another wonderful analogy that my father used to bring up was, you know, you don't polish the silverware on the Titanic or something ridiculous, you know, because that old chestnut, you know. So you never have anything to look forward to, do you, when you're a witness? Because the only thing I looked forward to was conventions, anniversaries, weirdly, and that's about it. There was never anything. You could go on holidays, but I used to go away on holiday and people would start, you know, oh, let's go out to the beach. You go, no, we've got to do a watchtower first. There's no holiday from Jehovah and all that. And it's like, oh. So even when you're on holiday, you've got to do stuff.
Yeah.
You enjoy yourself. But, you know, these days it's, it's great.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the word fantastic when we were talking.
Yeah.
Is that a true description of how you really feel?
Yeah, it really is. It really, really is. Because it's because of the realization as well, right?
Yeah.
It's of the fact that, this is what life is about. It's not about getting booted up and suited and going to the meetings and reading stuff that's written by people. It's not about conditional love. It's not about how many hours you're doing knocking on people's doors trying to convince people of something that isn't real. It's not about that, right? So when you strip that back, and like I said earlier, because you have this realization that this is all there is as far as we know, your life becomes a lot better. It becomes a lot more important. Everything is a lot more important. A lot of it is very fine-tuned and honed, and like every single day, I'm like, what can I do today that's going to make my better day than yesterday, you know? And so it is fantastic, because I would never have dreamed in a million years that I could even just feel this free, let alone what I do, but just feel that freedom to actually be myself. And that's the other thing. I think I've never been myself before. And I know many people that suffer from depression in the witnesses.
Yeah.
But I know if they didn't have that added pressure, their lives would be very, very different.
Definitely.
My brother's one of them, I'm pretty sure. Just suppressed so much.
Yep.
So it takes the joy out of your life, you know.
Yeah,
If your joy is going to be, you know, knocking on doors and standing next to a cart for 6 hours, that's not fun, you know. So yeah, it is fantastic, because it's a very unlikely turn of events for me, and I didn't think it would ever happen, but it did. And that's my encouragement to other people. It's like, just have confidence in your decisions. Have that faith in yourself that you're good enough to do that. You know, it's not been your fault.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So you can change it.
No, that's good. So just thinking about somebody who may stumble over our little chat today.
Yeah.
What would you encourage them if they're sitting on the fence? From your experience, what would be the first thing to do?
The first thing to do, I think, is you have to change your mindset. I don't think it's an advice thing, because everyone's different.
Yeah.
But I think you need to have the ability to be able to, like that Splain talk when he was talking about apostates.
Yeah.
He didn't give a single example of what we shouldn't be looking at. Right? He didn't give a single example of any argument that apostates give. He just said, don't do it. So you need to kind of go, well, why can't I do it? Ask questions. If you're sitting on the fence, ask questions. Be honest with yourself. If it doesn't make sense, there's a reason why it doesn't make sense.
True.
Right? There's a very good reason why you're not very good at doing what you should be doing, because maybe you don't believe it. And one of the, I don't know why I'm thinking of it, but one of the obvious things for me, which was like a, oh yeah, kind of a moment, was only recently, actually.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm always waking up. I always have been, and there's still things now. I go, oh, I didn't even pick that one up. I missed that one. Yeah. So for me, the thing was when God cast Satan down to the earth. Everyone goes, oh yeah, God, that happened, right? But then you think about it logically, and you go, we're on a rock, hurtling through space, with billions and gazillions of stars, right? He put Satan on the only planet where there's human beings. I was like, why do that? He could have put him on Alpha Centauri. He could have put him on a star billions of miles away. But he didn't. I was just like, oh yeah, I didn't think of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So if it doesn't make sense, it's probably because it doesn't make sense. That's my advice to people: is just ask questions, be honest with yourself, because the answers are not actually that scary. It's actually quite exciting. And when when you get to understand the truth about the truth, which has been bounded around now, hasn't it? As a good tagline, but it's the truth about the truth. And when you find out about that, the spell is lifted. It's like a spell. It's like a watchtower spell. It's just, you go, oh, I didn't see that man behind the curtain. You know.
Yeah.
It's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. I don't know where I'd be now if I hadn't done that.
Yep.
You know. So.
Well, it's been great to see the changes from what you've told us to where you are now. It is possible. It might take hard work, but it's definitely beneficial for our own well-being to start unpicking.
It is. It's not easy. It's actually really hard, and for some people, it's traumatizing because you've been told that your life is going to take a certain route. And then one day you work out that it's not taking that route at all because it's not real. And so what do you do now? You've just been plonked into a world where you're actually maybe fearful of it because you've been told it's such a horrible place to live or a horrible place to be, and everyone's out to try and get you. And so I know there's people out there that help with religious trauma. And I think there maybe should be some more people out there that maybe could study that. I mean, I'm not very good at that sort of stuff, but it's something that I looked at doing, but I don't think I've got the brain power to deal with that. And it's also quite a personal thing.
It is. You're right. There's more need for it. And there's some brilliant organizations popping up to help ones to recover from religion. Yeah. That's in fact an organization which I would recommend, and you can join that, and it's all voluntary. There's support there from all sorts of religions. In fact, we had Daryl who set up the Recovering from Religion on the live stream a little while ago, and it made proper sense as to why it happens. He explained it all. There's other therapists. There's a good guy in the UK. I'm not sure how far he's away from you. Could join him. He looks at that sort of thing. There's a number of people around the world that are now doing it. So fortunately, we do have that. Yeah,
it's very important. And I think if for me, what I do with my life is my therapy.
Great.
It's my music, it's food, it's my friends, it's where I live. That's my therapy. It's Lara. She's my therapy. It's people find their therapy in other ways. That's just how I deal with it myself.
Yeah. No, that's great.
you know.
Well, we're glad that you found all that therapy in your life.
Me too. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I want to say thank you for coming on and doing our little chat with us on the live stream. We've certainly appreciated looking at things from what happened in your life and some of the things that we could possibly learn to help us keep going and walking forward.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Shane.
Alrighty. Thanks, guys, for those who have been on the live stream. We've certainly appreciated Stewart being here with us, and we look forward to being able to see you on another live stream coming up in the days ahead. Until then, look after yourselves, keep safe, and we'll catch you later. Bye for now.